Hey out there, this is Friday, December 21st, 2018. And it's just about 8 minutes past 9 o'clock in the morning here in Northern California. Today I'll get into a lot of stuff as usual. I'm not much in the mood for pontificating today, but we'll see what happens here. I kind of wanted the theme to be identifying the stressors in our lives that really rob our joy of just experiencing life as human beings. Those things that bug us, that we think are unique, often we think are unique to ourselves, and it's just a personal problem we're having. But if we open our minds, we realize that everybody has very similar issues. We have a lot in common. And we are bugged often by a lot of the same things. But we're still feeling isolated as individuals and separated from our fellow man. And it's tough being human and just admitting our frailties as humans. That, we are so easily bugged. But then again, there's good grounds for us being bugged and to have a complaint. And in a sense, it's not, we're not easily bugged so much as we are just really being harangued. We're really being menaced by artificial means, and it's being foisted upon us from on high. It's emanating from the top. And these forces are haters of humanity. We could get into the whole irrational belief system that these people are imbibing in, indulging in at the very top. But, there's a lot of adjectives that would be apropos. Insanity, madness. And these things are not easy for the normal person who's at least trying to be healthy in their heart, mind, their spirit, their soul, their body, and just be a fairly well centered, just a good, decent human being. Just somebody that is known to be nice and friendly and well adjusted, let's say. That is not particularly socially awkward, that likes people. There's certain attributes and qualities that are generally socially accepted, by large percentage of the population. So we like this person. So the people that are likable in society, if they say you're likable, that's a good thing. You're a likable human being. And it's a reputation that you got to fight to maintain one day at a time. But we're constantly harangued, we're bugged, we are being menaced by evil spirits, really, is what it comes down to. But it's on a very tangible level, and that's what I would like people to identify, really, to understand the deeper wisdom out there. You've got to understand the correlation between what physical properties are being used to manipulate us that correlate to these evil forces, these madmen at the top that are manipulating us, and why would they do it? What is their motivation? Okay, why do they hate humanity? Why, when they're humanity too? I mean, why would they do that? But elitism is a disease, and these people have it. Hypocrisy. These are the ones when Jesus really railed on a group of people, lambasted them, just excoriated the crap out of them. It was always the hypocrites. And that's who these people are, the hypocrite class. So we don't need to understand any more than know that these people are outcasts in the kingdom of heaven. I mean, in any semblance of trying to create a paradise on earth, humanity, it has an innate instinct, a desire to have a better world. So we're working toward that. I mean, that's what a normal person does. That's just trying to be right with God and man and just themselves, their own conscience and integrity and honor and all those invisible essential qualities within our hearts, minds, spirits, and souls, our conscience and all these. It's like a failsafe. God has given us stuff that we can't run away from. And in our right mind, we don't want to run away from them. We want to run to them. You understand? We want to develop them, cultivate them, and help them to grow within us, to be better, more likable, humble, decent human beings that are effective in what they're doing and trying to just bring us together as a family of man and heal the wounds and unify and affect change for the better for everybody. But you can't leave anybody out of the loop. That's a problem in the social structure today, is that it's deemed okay, or with a wink and a nod, or we just don't talk about that, or we neglect that, or we excuse that. We have rationale for that behavior. And that's what all the problems are coming from, is just the regular everyday person becomes calloused, indifferent, complacent, that it's just too hard. It makes their head hurt. You're making me think too much. Ignorance is bliss. They may not say that, but that's what they're thinking, is just, and so you kind of shut up. You self-censor because people, have that attitude, and you say, well, I disagree, because it's kind of true that if you divorce yourself from other people and you just put a wall up on your conscience and say, you know what, I'm taking care of myself. Why don't you do what I do? And, so that, that's the unspoken reality of this person you're trying to communicate the truth to. It's tough for anybody out there trying to fight the good fight, but what's the option? You can't just give up. Then you're in the same boat with them. You're saying, hey, no, this is the right way. Jump on the bandwagon of indifference and complacency about other people's problems. But this is elitism. We're all prescribing to that same hypocrisy. We want something for ourselves and our family that we're, not caring that other people are being left out of, okay, that they can't have. Okay, that's evil. Basically, your heart is evil at that point. And that's a lot of people, and it's propensity we have as humans. It's a trap that's easy for us to fall into, to just care about old number one. Yeah, it's a rat race. Yeah, it's a bitch. So, go get yours. Just go, succeed, make a lot of money, get a good career, get a good education, get job security, make a lot of money, a lot of numbers, and play into it. Okay, but this is just making things worse. That's why I sound like an alarmist, but I'm scared stiff. I am so worried about humanity being caught with their collective pants down. Okay, and unclean hearts, impure hearts, that they love the things of this world, the temporal things of this world, more than they love each other, human beings. And that's not living by the golden rule. You've got to want the things you want for yourself and your family for others. It's as simple as that. If you do, your heart is pure and clean. You got nothing to worry about. You're not the one with your pants down. But if your heart is impure and you're saying, no, I'm willing, as long as I get to keep what I have, that others are left out of the loop. If it's necessary that others are left out of the loop of this prosperity thing and the freedom that's associated with it, the way out of fear, the security that's associated with prosperity, and I'm going to justify that. I'm going to stand before my maker. I don't believe in God. I'm an agnostic. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Come say, come saw, who really cares? What's your attitude about that? In your right mind, I firmly believe, I strongly contend that we would welcome the day of accountability, that we want to give account. We want to be justified in the eyes of our parents. Who are our parents? That's God. That's our owner. Okay, that's as simple as that, Creator God. We didn't make ourselves, and our parents did very little, nothing different than what dogs and monkeys do. Okay, what came totally physically, instinctively, the flesh, have no faith in the flesh. It's no big deal. God can rise up, raise new human beings, with flesh and blood body out of nothing. But our essence is what's important. It's those invisible qualities. And for people to say, oh, you can't prove that. Well, you know what? Okay, people said you couldn't prove electricity at one time. People said you couldn't prove there's gravity. These are abstract ideas, the invisible. But the air, at one point you realize, hey, even the air itself, talk about power, oxygen. God could take away our oxygen and we'd all be dead in a few minutes. That's the power of our parents. Don't you want to be right with that power? That's, what I would encourage people to just get right with your parents. because they're coming home and they're unhappy. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. You've had to witness this history through the age, okay, through the age. Remember, Jesus was walking the earth. It's a matter of fact. That's not myth. Some 2,000 years ago, approximately. This is all provable, all the testimony. If you're going to believe any history, why wouldn't you believe Scripture? Okay, these people were diligent about keeping records. Okay, this is all true. When you just think of the implications of the fact that Jesus walked the earth, this guy that was raising dead people, this master of all teachers, this guy that didn't even have a natural biological father. Okay, his only father was God Almighty himself, a natural mother, but here he was, just one of us, calling himself the least of men. Okay, whatsoever we do or fail to do for the least of these, we do or fail to do for him. Jesus essentially called himself the least of men. We call ourselves in America a Christian nation. Look how we behave. Ashamed. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. The reason I voted for Trump was he said he was ashamed of homelessness in America. And he has the power right now to end it, okay, in short order. Just take that money, that $50 billion a year, and get the cities and counties to buy housing for people. End of story. Get people to work. Think how it would be good for all the builders and contractors out there. Okay, that's what we need to start seeing happening. Okay, don't be a pissant. I mean, this is a thus saith the Lord kind of thing. Okay, what would Jesus think? Okay, about homelessness, calling himself the least of men. And we're going to look down on these people. Do you understand? And you think you're not a hypocrite? Are you living by the golden rule? How are you demeaning? How are you dehumanizing people? And is that, you're going to justify that? You understand? How do things look through God's perspective? It's okay. God's not threatened by us looking through his eyes and seeing this thing. How would you feel if you were God? How would you see that? When you dehumanize the least of men, okay, whoever you perceive that to be, because your perception is your reality, it's your paradigm, pattern of thinking, and the way you're going to speak, and your attitude, okay, how you're going to behave. So, is it right? You're going to stand before God with that elitist, that hypocritical, that anti-golden rule belief system and justify it somehow? How? You don't have the power to save your own life and to give yourself a better world. You're going to end up with like-minded people. Whatever your belief system entails, your credos, your philosophies, or lack thereof, just as important to understand. I mean, how we're being manipulated by the mainstream media. They'll pick one little issue and they'll say, now make a mountain out of this molehill. And then they'll take a mountain and make a molehill out of that. Do you understand? I think that's a very good example of what I'm trying to convey here. I mean, we're being manipulated from on high by evil people. They own things like these mainstream media companies. When they tell their lackeys who need that paycheck and get paid very handsomely, by the way, a lot of these people are making celebrity type cash. I mean, multi-million-dollar contracts for these people to spew out the news, read off a monitor, say what you're told to say, don't say what you're not told to say. You're a robot. You're an automaton for all intents and purposes. Do what you're told or take a hike. It's as simple as that and be a nobody. But if you're on the mainstream media, CBS or NBC or whatever, you listen to, that is your mainstream media, then, you better walk the straight and narrow. You better buck up and do what we tell you to do and don't do what we tell you not to do if you want to keep your job. And people are scared stiff. This is how we're all being manipulated. This is the power. This is the tangible, on-the-ground power they have over us through the money. The money is such a ginormous scam. I mean, the idea that they're putting us in debt. Who are they putting in debt? It's always falling on the backs of the poor the most. Always. Always. The difference is when your cost of living goes up and your currency is debased, just like a scale, cost of living goes up, your currency is worth less. It's as simple as that. Okay, that's the way it's been working for decades upon decades. The Labor Department's been utterly, profoundly, deliberately remiss. These people know how to calculate a CPI, the cost price index, okay, consumer price index. Okay, they know how to calculate that, believe me. It's just very simple. At least you got in that market basket of goods that you're doing your calculations on, you've got to include the cost for food, essential human needs, basically, shelter, Okay, things you need to survive, that you need to live, that you need to exist, water and energy. Do you understand? So it hasn't been hard. It's not a difficult calculation to make. And if our cost of living is being manipulated upwards, I mean, the motivation, well, why would they do? Because people profit. They debase your current, they take more of it. They tax you more when they raise your cost of living tax. Do you understand? It's very simple why they would do it. So they don't care that it debases your currency when it goes in their pocket.